Hey everyone, this is Sabrina. Welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are excited for another December daily video. I don't know how many more I'm going to do, but I am so close to finishing the album. I now purchased 2 albums, so I go all the way to the 31st. And over winter break, I was able to get to the 28th. So in this video, I'm going to show 4 days, I believe. Starting with the 13th when we went to go see some lights in the evening, and I'm just using a simple pocket page, just keeping it very simple. I really wanted to find a use for this card that says finding magic in the smallest moments. I think I've had it for a few years, and so it finally found a home because I really did not want to go out this particular night. I was tired from work and I just was not interested. And my husband's like, let's just do it. And we did. And I'm so glad that we did. It was such a fun little activity. We had been so busy just doing the other things in life, and we hadn't had much time for festive activities, so it was really fun to go see the lights. And I tend to take pictures of this place and notice the different things that change over the years, and so that's kind of the pictures that I put in here. I took a picture of a Barbie box that someone had made, and I also took pictures of the nativity scene. That's a favorite photo that I love getting. And I took a 13, a transparent one, and I went ahead and stapled that into the page protector right in the middle. And I love how that turned out. It turned out awesome. And then I also took the Barbie box, and I forced my teenage son into the Barbie box, and he was not happy, but I got a photo of us in it. And I decided to be fancy and add in some sequins, and I don't sew, and I don't have a fuse tool, because I think if I had a fuse tool, I could fuse the pocket closed. So what I do is double-sided adhesive tape very slowly, and just like pull my finger out at the last minute once I've gotten the double-sided piece off. Just pull my finger out at the last minute and pray that it sticks. And it did. So that's a really fun element to include with the little shaker pockets. One of these years I will learn how to sew, like just simple sewing for my December daily would be really fun. I have a few more pockets that I want to fill, and you can see over on the left-hand side, I have some of those transparency tags, and I thought about using those, but I'm actually going to change my mind and decide that I want to use some stamped tags using a 10x8 piece of paper. I found a word phrase sticker that says the best part of the holidays, which I love, and I don't like how sometimes when you put photos in the 2x2 page protector, they are like different sizes on the front and the back. So that's when I pull them out and I trim them, because it bugs me to no end to have them different sizes. So I'm pulling out different scrap pieces of paper to see what I can use to fill in the different pockets, because like I said, I didn't take a lot of photos, and I wasn't like pressuring myself to get in all the photos. I also knew that I was going to come back here with my best friend when he came to visit, so I knew I was probably going to include more photos then. So I'm just looking for different ways that I can finish up this pocket page, and I found the joy paper, and I decided to cut a 2x2 square of that. Absolutely love how that came out, because joy is a big theme in my album. So I'm going to go ahead and include that on the back side of my pocket page, and then I'm going to grab that 10x8 paper. I thought I might use a notebook paper to write out my journaling, but I totally messed it up and cut it out totally wrong. I don't think I put that in the video because I felt really ridiculous. Like, it was a piece of notebook paper with the line on the left, and I just chopped it up so weird. I don't even know what I was thinking. So I didn't use that. This is where I decided to use the 10x8 tags and then a stamped sentiment. So I stamped this December day, and then I'm going to fussy cut it out and just stick it right in the pocket, and a photo will be behind it. So that worked out really awesome, and I love how those turned out. And Now I wish that I had like found a way to do more stamped sentiments with this page, but at least I know that if I have this paper left over for next year, which I'm sure I will, then I could always save that for an idea for next year. I decided to use a different shaped tag that was just a little bit wider, and I used a chunkier stamp that says most loved moment. And I'm going to go ahead and cut that out to finish up the page. I think I wind up adding a little bit of journaling. I always feel like the project is not finished without some journaling, especially in December daily. So I am going to do just one white piece of paper for some journaling. So I'm trimming it off so that way it is actually sized at 2x2. Then comes the journaling, where I just talk about how I was so thankful that my husband suggested going to see these lights. We've been going for years. I don't know if I mentioned that, but we've been going since my son was like a baby. So it's a tradition for us to go to this place every year, and we absolutely love it, and it's so much fun. The kids are getting older, but they still tend to appreciate it, and like I said, we like to notice the things that change each year and what, people do for the different displays, so that's a fun aspect that we've kind of included as the kids get older, and they're like, not so excited about all the lights, but they still go for me because they know it's mom's favorite, and I could look at lights like every day in December. Take me to look at lights and I would be all for it. Let me know in the comment section how you are about going to see lights. Like, I am just all for it. I grabbed one little green sticker to put on the family photo, Joy and Wonder. I felt like the photo could just use a little something, and also the back of the page protector could just use just a little bit more green. So that'll wrap up 13, and I'll put it in the page protector, and then the next little story is going to be 14, and that's actually when we left for our trip. So I was a little stumped on what to do and what the story could be. And then I remembered that I took a selfie once we got to the hotel room on the 14th, and so I thought, why not just include a selfie of myself? It's on a Thursday, and I tend to do those Thursday 3 selfies, and I figured I could just document what's going on and some currentlies for me. I also thought, hey, you know what? I could use one of those plastic attacher things and finally get some use out of it. No, big mistake, my friends, big mistake, and I'll explain that later on as we go. For now, I have this little pile up in the left-hand corner of things that I could potentially use. The number 14, the red that came in the kit, and also some vellum pieces. But since this is currently, I'm going to grab a stamp phrase that says currently and just adhere it to the top of the photo. I prefer to die cut my words to make it look fancier when I'm doing December daily, but I didn't do it this time. And then I'll just add a vellum piece, and that's it. Everything else will be on the back of the page. All the currently information will be on the back. So just very simple right here. I start off by putting that vellum piece, the circle, kind of hanging off the edge because I thought that would be something fun. But it's going to get trimmed in a little bit. I love this selfie because I am totally embracing the beanies this winter. I just don't want to be cold, and I don't have time to be cold. So all the beanies. I used the stamp set, or one of the new stamp sets for December daily and this year, and I stamped Make Merry on the top, and then decided why not just go for more stamping and stamp my own border down at the bottom. So that's what I did with the Find Joy. I start stamping it randomly and then realize, you know what, I should probably do a pencil mark so that way I know where to stop, and also use some scratch pieces of paper to kind of help me with my line. So I stamp it, and then I messy stamp it somewhere else, so like the leftover ink, and I love how it turned out. Turned out very messy, and it was a lot of fun to just play with my stamps and get a little messy instead of using the paper. Once I have that border completed, that's when I'm just going to do a bullet point list of different things that were going on the 14th. And I am so glad that I included this little page. Like I said, I wasn't sure what to include for the 14th. And I know a lot of people do stories that don't necessarily happen on the day. And I do that as well. I tend to do that. But if there is a photo that can go with a day, that is what I prefer much more than anything. But like on the 23rd, I did a story about mail and all the packages that we had received. And I think that particular photo was taken like on the 11th or something like that. But I really wanted to document how packages are just the way that we have been going with things lately, and that is totally okay. So for Make Merry, I put so thankful for this little getaway. I said I'm definitely tired and the list of to-dos is so long. The countdown to Christmas is on. It's nearly 10 days away, and I'm just trying to get all the gifts and make sure that I'm ready. And I'm hoping to spend this weekend tackling laundry, working on December daily, and mailing some packages. So that was my little what's happening right now, and then I can write out the currentlies. I use like a thicker Sharpie pen to do the currentlies. I chose watching Dawn of the Nugget, which is a kids movie, and we loved it. Reading The Grump Who Stole Christmas, listening to Resting Scrooge Face, which is an audiobook, and I listened to that while I went shopping for some gifts. And then I was eating spinach dip and crackers. I seriously have a problem, my friends, with spinach dip and crackers. Like, I can't stop eating it. And then planning Christmas prep. Then I wanted to decorate it, and so I cut a vellum circle in half, and I'll place half right here down at the bottom, and the other half I will put up at the top by Make Merry. And I decided instead of the red 14, I would just go ahead and use the gold puffy stickers that I have. I hope they stay adhered for years to come, but we shall see. Now comes the rustling of this plastic attacher. So what I quickly realized, or I realized, I guess, after I put this together, is that this plastic attacher, I don't know how to properly install it. And it certainly is too thick to go between a photo and a cardstock, because after I finished doing this project, it kept popping open. Even though I had double-sided tape and I had adhered everything together, it just kept popping open and it was not working. So eventually I have to like rip this apart and add in a piece of cardstock to do the attached piece. And so that's just gonna have to, it worked fine to just do the cardstock instead of the attacher. But lesson learned, unless it's a really thick piece of cardstock or, ephemera, then you use the plastic attacher. If not, use just cardstock. Okay, moving on to day 17. I believe this was a Sunday or a weekend day. So I just took notes throughout the day of kind of what the INGs were. And so I'm just going to use this giant tag piece, and I'm super excited to use it up. And because I tend to save these tags or inserts, and I really didn't want to do that this year, so I'm just using it. So for watching, I put Wimpy Kid Christmas. It was better than we expected, and it had a good message. And then for reading, I put each of us and what we're reading. Like for my son, I put the Spanish study guide for finals, which is just perfect because that's pretty much all he was reading, is study guides for finals. And then I put Christmas music. I was listening to my playlist, and I have like Frank Sinatra and Johnny Cash. And so I was yelling those names, and my daughter thought it was so weird. So that's the best. And then I was eating Gingerbread Man. You can only find them at Target. At least that's the only place I've found them. And they are so delicious. So I eat a ton of those in December. And then I said wishing all weekends could be like this, cozy at home, just doing a little of this and a little of that, but we're all together. Playing kind of stumped me, but we did play basketball together as a family for a few minutes, so that was fun. And then I put making December daily TV page with all the plastic TVs and just watching TV with my husband. And then celebrating a wonderful getaway before the real busy sets in and starts. And then the photo that I'm going to use on the back is just our tree, and I believe that photo was taken several days later. Like, I didn't have a photo of the tree at that point, so I just made sure to take one, and then I could adhere it onto the back. And I thought the 17 could fit in the middle of these circles, but obviously it can't, so I'm just gonna have to put it on the back, which works out just fine, but I was hoping it would fit on the front. That's okay. So it's just going to go on the back, and then I'll adhere the tree, and I'll also add in some ribbon to make it extra fancy, and that's it, friends. And somehow my tree photo is off by like, I don't know, a smidge on the left and a smidge on the right, but I was not going to reprint it. I thought I had the right size, but I didn't. So, oh well, a smidge, and you can barely tell. So I'll punch the holes and then add in the ribbon, and I do a really small piece of ribbon and then go ahead and staple it. I always tend to do a ginormous piece of ribbon, and I don't think you need a big piece of ribbon, just a very tiny one, and then you can staple it. And that'll be 17. It is that simple, my friends. I'm really, like I said, embracing what works for that particular day, and if it calls for something simple, then it calls for something simple. The next day, when I do the 18th, I think that's the last story in this video. It's a special one, friends. It's a really special one. I actually did 18 first and then 17, as you can see, but I am excited to do 18 and share that with you. So if anybody has a busy life like me, which I'm sure there's a lot of us, your table gets really cluttered, and just you're constantly fighting it. And for me, I have learned over the years to just embrace it. And some of my favorite photos have been when I have stood on a chair and taken a photo of our mess on the table. I remember distinctly doing that in 2020, and it's still one of my favorite photos. So that's what I did for the 18th. At the end of the day, I was thinking, what happened today that was festive? Nothing. A whole lot of life happened. And I was like, well, how can I make this festive? And I looked at the table and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to document the table. So stood on the chair, like I said, and got a photo of everything on the table, all the stuff. And then I remembered that I have a chipboard sheet with the numbers 1 through 10 that I've had for years and years, and I will use that as my number guide for the journaling below the photo, and the 18 is in the corner. So I start by placing the chipboards where I want them. I wind up with 8 different spots that I can identify as 8 piles of stuff, 8 piles of life, I guess you could say. So I will place those, and then I will start to stamp, and that way the stamped numbers can correspond to the messes and chipboard numbers up top. So highly recommend this type of page, my friends, for any season because it just works fantastically. So I will stamp the number 1 and then add some journaling lines and then journal and then repeat the process for the rest of the numbers. So number 1 starts up in the corner, and I kind of go clockwise. I think I did. Yeah, clockwise, sort of-ish. So the first one is in the top, and it's like by the paper plate. And I said that was a former snack plate that's now a hot glue gun plate. And I'm using it for projects. And then number 2 is kind of that white basket. And I said I am working on button and yarn tree projects. It's a special gift for my friend Erica. And then over in the corner, I put the stapler that keeps disappearing and reappearing. And then number 4, my stamp is backwards. So I had to stamp it with my finger and it worked. And so then I put 4 by my row of trees. And I said my forest of trees is my fave, but the forest does collapse often. A metaphor for life. Get knocked down and just keep going. So I love that. And number 5 is like pointing towards the bottom left corner of the photo where my son's cell phone is. And I said my son was up late doing his homework and preparing for his first round of finals. Number 6 is hard to tell, but it's by a brush, and it says a pile of stuff, glue sticks, a receipt, and a brush. And then number 7, kind of right next to it, is our tiered tray to hold the sauces and all the napkins. And that tiered tray kept getting shuffled all around the table all month long, because normally it's in the middle of the table where the trees are. But since the trees were there, it just got shuffled and moved and moved. And then I put number 8 was my daughter was brave enough to use a glue gun. So she had a project on there that was like bookcase made of popsicles. So that was on the table as well. And it was just a decoration and part of the table for weeks, because why not? Why not? And once I have all those notes down, I'm going to add some stickers and a little bit of the chipboard stars, because I think the chipboard stars came in the main kit. And so I'm just using them all up. I'm obsessed with chipboard stars and I want more of them. I also add a sticker, a word phrase sticker that says "this memory" right towards the bottom, and I'll make a cluster of chipboard stars as well. So really, really love this. I know I've said it before, but I just love this page, and it might be my favorite in this whole round of pages. It's special, right? It's going to be a page to remember, to see the stuff of life, because I'm sure there's going to be a season of life in my life, I hope, where I'm not battling the table and the kitchen counter, right? So now I have that page done, and I hope you guys have enjoyed seeing all of these come together. I would appreciate a thumbs up or a subscribe if you are new to my channel. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great day. Bye.